Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about Troubled Blood, which is the fifth book in the Strike series. I think, yeah, fifth of planned 10, I believe. That's what Miss Rowling said. And yeah, I think this is definitely the best one yet that I've read. I still haven't read 6, but I loved this one. Like, this is streets ahead of the other ones. And I liked the other ones. But yeah, this one was amazing. So, as you might be able to tell from this, it's 900 pages long, but it's one of those books where it doesn't really feel like that. Like, yes, it's very complex and there's a lot going on, but at the same time, it's very fast paced, and you don't feel like any pages like filler. There's no filler in this book. It's very to the point, and while it is a very complex case, you don't feel overly confused by it. I think the way that she writes, she's able to write it very complex, but simple at the same time and not confusing. So the main story is this woman approaches Strike and she's like, "My name Margot Bambara was uh, disappeared 40 years ago, and we don't know what happened." And she gives her and her wife give Strike a year to find out what happened to Margot Bambara. Was she killed? Did she run away? Was she kidnapped? What happened? So that right there was an interesting premise. They haven't really done a cold case before, so there's like a dozen suspects, which explains why this book is so long. But like I said, I'm very interested in all of it. By the way, this review from this point will contain spoilers. So, in the mix with this is a couple of subplots. Strike is having to deal with his aunt's cancer, and she pretty much raised him when his mother couldn't be bothered, I guess. He has a very difficult relationship with his mom, as established in the earlier books of the series, and we've always known about his aunt, who kind of raised him and his sister. So this is kind of like another mother to him, and it's a very traumatizing experience he's going through, watching her slowly wither away and die. Now, I haven't really had any relatives that had cancer, but I did have a grandmother with dementia, so I could kind of understand what he's going through in that case. His ex-fiancee Charlotte just won't go away. She won't leave him alone. She's always talking about suicide, how she's gonna kill herself, and at one point in the novel, he has to phone the people in charge of her hospital and tell them. It's a very stressful situation there, and on one hand, I feel bad for Charlotte, because she's obviously a mentally ill woman. But on the other hand, I also feel bad for Strike because he has to deal with this traumatic situation on top of his aunt dying. Also, his other half siblings he doesn't talk to that much keep harassing him about attending the party for his father, Johnny Rugby, big time English musician. But he doesn't want anything to do with his father because his dad never really was there for him when he was a child. Now, I obviously could not relate to that because my dad's awesome. Um, but I could definitely empathize with the fact that he wants nothing to do with him, even after finding out he has cancer. He's like, why would I spend time with my dad after he has cancer, um, when he barely has time to spend with his aunt who has cancer, who's been with him his entire life? You know what I mean? So Robin is has her own problems of her own. Matthew and her are going through a divorce after he cheated on her. But in my opinion, she should have left him way before she found that out. Making the divorce easy, he's like flaunting him and his new wife, and they're gonna have a child together. He's starting rumors that she was sleeping with Strike the whole time. It's not cool, Matthew. I always hated Matthew. At least it seems like the chapter is finally closed. He better not show up in the sixth book. I'm telling you, I'd be so pissed. Also has PTSD from the traumas he experienced both in college and in book three, I think. Book four. She has a lot of trauma. Um, so she also has PTSD from that, and I think her PTSD is handled a lot better than Harry Potter's is in the Harry Potter series. Now I don't really know much about PTSD, but What I like about this is it continues book to book, while with Harry it kind of is like he brushes it off. So I think Rowling is much better at writing that. And now we find out that her brother and his wife are having a kid, so she kind of like has mixed feelings about that. Like, where am I in my life? Like, yes, I love my career, but at the same time, do I want to have children? Stuff like that. Which I really love these subplots because they don't have much to do with the case itself, but they definitely flesh out the characters of Strike and Robin to the point where I cared about their personal lives more than I care about the actual case. Um, it's like the case is kind of just a backdrop to have these characters interact and stuff. And I think that is a very, good character writing on you, Momo. Because usually when I read books, I'm my number one focus is the characters. Same with TV and movies, I suppose, depending on the one. So because this is a case from 30 years ago, it takes a long time for them to hunt down all the witnesses and suspects. It's very interesting how they do that. We see all sorts of people. This kind of crazy dude who like, oh yeah, I killed her, but like, they're like, are you lying now? Do you just want the publicity? That was a really interesting scene where Strike interrogates him. Then there's the gangster who owned the strip club that Margot used to work at. His son, who's also a gangster, because I guess that's how it works. There's Margot's husband's new wife, Margot's abusive ex-boyfriend, all the different doctors, all the different nurses, all the receptionists, creepy patients. That was a lot. And, I honestly didn't see it coming that the twist would stand Speedy, the kindly old nurse. Because, Strike and Robin are right. You never do suspect the nurse. But see, it was very creepy. It's rare to see, like, creepy old ladies like actually being serial killers. Um, it reminded me of the twist ending of Prisoners. For those who have seen those movies, that movie, um, really reminded me of that. One of my favorite scenes is her confession. I think that's really cool. Another one of my favorites is the dinner party that happens. Probably the most awkward dinner party since that episode of The Office, where Strike, Robin's roommate, um, Robin's brother and her brother's friends are all there, and it's just um, a very heated argument ensues. Tensions are high. That was a great chapter because you could see it start off and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it explodes. Everybody's personalities, even the minor characters you don't know that well, are so like ingrained. You could see what's gonna happen as it happens, and the whole time you're like, "Oh God, no, no! Just somebody defuse the situation." And of course, it doesn't go that way. A lot of drama happens. But fortunately, Strike and Robin work it out. I love them in this book because I think out of all the books, though, not really as combative. Well, they're not really combative, but I feel like this one they're much more on the same page, I'd say. I love the scene where Strike finds out about that one guy sending out the dick pics and he immediately files him. Like, I hate that guy. And I know people like this exist in real life. And it's just, I hate those types of people. So, see, he's gone. I was hoping no one was going to drag that out, but yeah. Overall, very solid book. I loved it. I'm gonna give it a B plus. Definitely gonna end up on my top 10 list this year. Um, yeah, and I enjoyed it. I'll probably be, moving on to the first book in the Mistborn trilogy before I get on to the Ink Black Halt. So expect the Mistborn review to come out in August, and then the Ink Black Halt review to come out in probably early September. Because, yeah, both of those books are super long. This one's even longer than Troubled Blood, and Mistborn's pretty long itself. So I'll probably only be able to read them in like a month each. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue with the series. And by the time I finish Ink Black Hawk, I'll be already caught up before the Running Grave comes out in, I think, late September or mid September. So I'll definitely be reading that when it comes out. It's pretty cool though, because I haven't been like anticipating a book release in a while, especially a sequel to a book. Like a lot of the books I've read lately are like the series is completed, or the series is never going to be completed. Looking at you, George. So it's kind of be cool to like be with people as they read it. I don't really know anybody who reads the series, but people on Reddit and stuff, so that'll be fun. Yeah, let me know down below what you thought of Troubled Blood. Do you think I'm overhyping it? Do you think it is the best in the series, as I also think? Please give me your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.